What do people think makes them look cool, but actually makes them look like a douchebag? The line between joking and bullying can be a thin one, and a lot of douchebags either don't see it, or they just don't care. A lot of them know exactly where it is, and hide behind it. RIP my inbox. Had a guy I thought I was closer with, and we joked around a lot. One day he got triggered, and told me to truck off etc. A friend of ours came later to me, and told me he didn't mean it and stuff. We talked for a whole while, and while a lot was taken as a joke, I went too far sometimes, while still thinking it's all fun and mutual. Made me realize that there is a thin line and you should be careful nonetheless. Felt really bad, because I didn't intend to be an ass. Also important to note that the line moves depending on who you're with and your relationship with them. It can be tough to walk the line, but my general rule is, if everyone isn't laughing, including the person the joke is aimed at, might need to pull back a bit. The line is respecting boundaries. If someone gets offended by what is meant as friendly banter, a bully will minimize and blame you for not taking a joke or being too sensitive. A non-bully apologizes and avoids going there again. An easy way to tell if they just don't care is to ask them to wave their hands in the air. Blasting music in public transportation without headphones. Even better. Blasting music without headphones while hiking. Yes. I came out into nature to listen to your crappy music. Thank you. God, I wanna scream at everyone who does this on New York City subways, but 100% they're looking for someone to start some deuce with them. Picking on someone in a group and trying to get everyone else to laugh at them. Not in a hey, everyone's joking around kind of way, in a being a nasty piece of work and embarrassing the person kind of way. People like this suck. I had this happen to one of my friends once. He's disabled, so douchebags always tried to pick on him in middle school. He was in a group of popular people in class, and one of the popular guys said, "Hey, by a show of hands, who's the guy you hate the most in this group?" Hoping that everyone would vote against my friend. Then they all proceeded to vote against the same guy who called the vote. It was the funniest poop. Happened to me in school. I was the shy kid and a mean bully always liked to pick on me, and she was so FK and strong that I knew better not to mess with her. One day we were playing a game, and she got mad at me, punched me, and announced that we're playing and selecting teams again, and the team leaders would be herself and me, said in a condescending tone. Everyone at that instant said that they would like to be in my team, and came to me and literally crowded me while she was 6 feet away, all alone. Felt like a complete boss that day. I have friends like this, and I'm so glad I've put distance between myself and them over the years. A couple years ago we were all in Disney and were just sitting around eating, and one of them turns to look at my phone and loudly goes, "Are you playing Pokemon Go?" To which I replied, "Yeah," and they all proceeded to shame me for playing. Since then, anytime I've been with them and look at my phone, they ask if I'm playing Pokemon Go in a mocking tone. My current group of friends will see me play and not say a thing other than maybe ask a question. Big improvement over the last group. Vandalizing rocks, trees, etc. in parks and nature preserves. It takes you out of the experience when you're scanning a gorgeous landscape and your eyes land on butthead plus ding dong forever in bright colors. Funnily enough, my parents live in an area where this is a point of conflict. Some people take small rocks and paint them, usually it's washable paint, then leave them in places for others to find. It's a whole geocaching type thing, but some people there hate it and will pick up any they find and toss them, some clean them. The trails don't look like an Easter egg hunt or anything. The number of rocks painted is minimal, but it really bothers some of the people. Personally, so long as it isn't Greg was here or Dickbird or whatever, I don't really care. Saw one kid who was super stoked to find a rock with a Batman symbol on it, which was coolimo. Edit. To make it clear, I'm not really trying to advocate one way or the other. If it's bad for the environment, then people shouldn't do it, but I personally know almost nothing about it except for the tidbits my parents have told me, because it's some drama in the area. Theoret right now, for the record, no one has guessed the right area yet, but it seems to be an issue in lots of places. People who know more can chime in about whether it's bad or not. If it is something you're interested in or have been doing, then I suppose you should consider looking into it and whether there's a safe way to do it. But again, I don't know anything about it. I have my own mundane hobbies that I spent way too much time getting into during COVID, and rock painting / hunting wasn't one of them. But head plusting dog forever who says romance is dead. It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank. Said by every douche about to get their ass kicked because they pushed too far. I hate these pranks. Not to sound old and crabby, but pranks used to be something everyone could laugh at and were harmless. Like a sticky note on the bottom of your computer mouse. If scaring strangers gives you joy, you're not a prankster. You need professional help. Edit. Wow. That's a lot of responses. So I have been trying to think of a good prank response for my stepdad. Some time ago he put giant googly eyes on the front of my car, didn't hurt the car. And I didn't notice for 3 days. Got me good. And we both laughed our asses off when he told me it was him. Had been going to the store, work, etc. Had no idea. I've been trying to think of something good and along those lines to get back at him. You guys might be the right crowd to ask. Any ideas? Something harmless obviously, but that he may not notice right away. Edit 2. Thanks for my first gold. Reminds me of that one kid who got shot and died because he did a robbing people with a knife prank. There was this dude who would chase people with a chainsaw as a prank one day. He got let the duck up and his friend ran over and yelled at the guy who shot him saying it was just a prank, bro. You mucking killed him. He blamed the guy who was trying to save his own life. Supporting a celebrity that doesn't give a SHT about your existence online to the extent of bullying and name calling people who don't worship that celebrity. Also, corporations. Chris Etigen has entered the chat. This has real Elon Musk vibes. The amount of people I saw doing this for XXXTentacion before and after his death was insane. The man was a garbage human being, yet his fans just saw him as some downtrodden, misunderstood artist. Gatta keeping a music artist like they discovered them and are the whole reason for their success. Don't get me wrong, support the artist, but don't be that asshole that determines who is worthy of a common trend. Edit. Thank you all for the upvotes and awards. Mud gatekeepers. It's part of a larger trend where someone's identity comes from their consumption rather than what they create, such as the music they listen to or the surgery they elect to have. Edit. Now that this post has a ton of upvotes, am I supposed to give a stupid wow thank you speech or something? Also, the irony of getting Reddit awards for a post criticizing meaningless identity consumption. The Strokes were getting that a month or two back. One of the songs from the album they released last year blew up on TikTok and people were attempting to Gatta keep the band as if they hadn't been together for 23 years. 1 for Brits and 1 Grammy before the song got big on TikTok. The reverse as well. You like, what's wrong with you? Signed. A sad U2 fan who gets made fun of too much and totally will in this thread. When I was 15, I went to a bit alternative high school to study environmental science and everybody was deep into Indian metal music. Oh, I see you are fan of Slipknot. They are posers. I like this Lithuanian experimental metal band. They have 15 fans including families of players. Nobody else can understand deep meaning of lyrics and you have to order CD only by snail mail. Picking on weird kids. But why would I pick on cool kids? Those are the people I want to impress. I feel really guilty about this one. I was bullied and picked on from an early age. I felt completely disconnected from my peers around me. But when the new kid came around and they gave me an opportunity to feel accepted, I took it. The kid was a complete dick, which was why I excused picking on him at the time. But looking back, it was just really cruel and the reason he was a dick was probably a defense mechanism. Failing school does not inherently make you a douchebag, but bragging about it as if it's something that is cool isn't the best presentation of character either. I've never read a book in my life. And they're proud. Have a friend like this. He asked me if he could tell his school that when I went to the hospital for suicidal thoughts and ideation and spent a week in the BSU was traumatic for him and he had to come home a lot because of it. He didn't come home a lot to my knowledge. Wanted to use my suicidal depression as a get out of jail free card and grab a couple extra GPA points. Him kinda mucked up about it. Also works the other way. Nothing wrong with being great at school, but being smug about it makes you look like a prick. Gator keeping a fandom or hobby. You weren't a real fan of this band if you started listening to them after this album. You're not a real beer drinker if you don't like IPAs. Excuse me, are you gator keeping? How dare you? You weren't a real Weezer fan unless you hate their existence. The ones who don't know how to get attention, so they start gossiping about everyone. And I'm like, I know your life is not interesting, but please have some respect for others and for yourself. And the ones who speak as freaking loud as they can, just to ensure the attention never leaves. Edit. I really feel like I should explain myself better. While writing this down, I had some very specific people in mind who were known to be loud even other than the tonality of their voices. Basically people who cross boundaries and try to establish themselves as the prime member of a group they're engaging with. More of a personality thing than about physical aspects. I have had friends who are pretty loud voiced too. Even I tend to raise my voice in excitement sometimes and have to be told to tone down. I'm sorry if this came off the wrong way. I didn't intend to XD. I have a coworker who has the gift of gab and is very proud of his ability to give people false assurances while being extremely vague. Essentially just bombarding them with words until they're satisfied. It's a useful trick, I suppose. But when you hear him do it in real time, you realize he's just a very good liar. I have a friend who does this in a very patronizing way. I've learned to just nod and go oh okay or for sure because I don't care. To argue semantics centered around bring right about some petty tiny thing lol he acts offended when I actually say things like, that's a nice opinion. Honestly, this is a really good skill to have in the corporate world and work in general. It's all bullcrap, but it helps me secure a paycheck and that's all that matters. Edit. I'd never do this in a way that makes my coworkers look bad or throw them under the bus. In fact, I'll hype up my coworkers a lot, even if they haven't really done much. This strategy is only for appeasing management/owners. Being an asshole to other people to boost your own ego. I make myself feel big and strong by making others feel small and weak. Yeah. The credo of Uber doucher falls everywhere. Pretending to know or be something when actually having no idea. I quit a job because the new manager was like this. Didn't have a clue what half the forms we give patients to fill out were and refused to learn. Just said wrong things like they were fact. Which is especially unacceptable when your idiocy ends up with people getting bills in the multiple hundreds. Being mean to serving staff. True. It doesn't make you look assertive, it makes you look like an butthole. Endlessly talking and bragging about their private lives. Example, I had a real dick of a boss who once said, man, it wasn't yesterday I got laid with that woman after a customer left, which made me and my colleagues somewhat uncomfortable. He also talked about how his wife better show those TTs for everything he does. I'm not interested, and I think it is super trashy to talk like that. Edit. He isn't my boss anymore. Is your boss a 6th grader? Honestly, how do these people wind up in charge? When people talk like that, it's two things. Once in the blue moon they got lucky and found someone who would do the deed, and now they have to brag about it so everyone thinks they had a very active frig life, and that was just an example of many encounters. B, he is just lying to make himself appear as a player. I know plenty of guys who have great success with women and have no problems finding a new one each week. Not one of them is bragging about it like this. Even if someone specifically how hot a girl he has hooked up is. Handing a homeless guy a $10 bill and posting it on YouTube. Or people that make a video like, hey look, this person/animal is in danger. I'm going to rescue them. Here we go. Dude, if it's an emergency, stop ducking around. You don't have time to whip out the camera and do a narration. Every second counts. Shut up and just do it. People who tease guys for drinking jelly drinks. If a guy wants to drink a strawberry daiquiri, let him drink it in peace. You know what is manly? Drinking whatever the frick you want without giving a crap what people think. Edit. Thanks for the awards, people. Tons of manly energy in this thread. Just give me something with lots of fruit and little umbrellas, I order in my best Clint Eastwood voice. This is very specific. But I once knew a bloke who thought he was cool for not liking Game of Thrones. Which is fine. But would then post spoilers of it on social media along the lines of, I don't watch or care about Game of Thrones. But X died in the most recent episode. Unlucky if you saw this. I fell victim of it once, and I literally thought my blood was boiling. I was so angry. The lesson here is probably to stay off social media before you've seen the most recent episode of a show you love, but still. Frick that guy. My brother saw Endgame on opening night, then proceeded to spoil it for the entire family for the lulz as he put it. Gets off on forcing spoilers. Real tool move. That's rude as hell. I've never seen goatee. But what exactly is the point of ruining it for everyone else? What joy does someone get out of that? Using a cell phone in public on speaker. Edit. Didn't expect this to blow up. Get a headset. Personally, I find this practice about as acceptable as farting in a crowded elevator. Even worse is playing music from your phone in public. I always thought of these people being insane or having such little amounts of personality that they think the musical performance will make up for it. Judging another person for their interests, even if the other person's interests don't affect or hurt anyone else. The other day I had an acquaintance tell me how a friend of mine who likes to collect Funko Pops must be such a virgin, even though the guy is literally married with a kid on the way. Also Brandon Moreno, the new UFC flyweight champion, is one of the biggest badasses in the sport and collects Funko Pops extensively. Also using Virginia as an insult? Like him sorry, but having intercourse doesn't make people more interesting? Is he in high school or what? Teachers who are proud of many of their students not passing. If I ever get a teacher like that, maybe I should ask why they are proud for being a bad teacher. I had a professor like what you described, and I switched majors cause she taught quite a few classes in my major. First day of class she tells everyone that you'll be lucky to get a C on your own. First couple tests I studied my ass off and got like a 12% grade after the first month. I looked at the classes I had to take and she taught 3 or 4 more of them, so I changed my major cause I knew I wouldn't be able to get past her. I had an instructor like that in the Navy. Ultimately she was stopped and punished, but not before she torpedoed a lot of careers, including mine. She was an awful person. I had a history teacher in college that would give a multiple choice test and have questions where all of the answers were correct, but you had to pick the most correct one. Driving around residential areas too fast in cars with really loud engines and those exhausts that go bang 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 all the time. They look like nothing other than inconsiderate assholes. I never understand these people that rip through neighborhoods going 40 or more. Like, you have people getting into cars, walking dogs, cats, kids, squirrels. Just so selfish. Don't forget the subwoofer system that rattles every window in the house from blocks away. It amazes me that they can even see where they're going with all that vibration. I have never seen one of those cars and been like, yup, that guy has it all together. I've said it before, I was an butthole teenager. I did a lot of stupid crap in my time. However, I always turn down my loud stereo system in residential areas, and after a certain time at night, you can be in butthole. Just don't be that butthole. That whole I don't give a duck attitude online where people just hate everyone and be super edgy. It doesn't make you look cool. Just makes you look like a dick. I don't really think you can look cool online unless you're like super knowledgeable about something in a specific forum. Yeah. But I don't know how many think this is cool. There are a lot of hurting people out there. Doing something nice for someone and videotaping it for clout. Somewhat related, but I can't stand the patronizing wholesome posts about people who have disabilities. There are so many Facebook pages that share inspirational stories of people, and the stories exploit the person for their disability. It's not supportive to share those articles. It's a weird, feel-good moral high ground that preys on people who are just trying to live their lives. So in many schools due to COVID we can't leave the classroom during the break and my classmates ducking love to make/watch TikToks on full ducking blast. They have been doing it for the last ducking year. That's my little brother everywhere. Yes, even on public transport, and no I don't sit with him. Sharing their trash taste in music out loud on public transportation. Even if it was good, everybody in the bus is getting out of work or school, they are tired and don't want to listen to your music plus the sound of people speaking plus the sound of road exc. It's just too much when you're tired. I've had dates who were dismissive/slightly rude to servers, and it was a huge turn off. A friend of mine once brought another friend that I had never before met to our weekly trivia night. The girl was a huge beach to the server that we see almost every single week. To the point that she wrote her a snotty note on the receipt when she paid. There wasn't anything particularly wrong with the service. She was just being rude as a standard action. That was an instant you are never invited back here moment. Declaring themselves to an alpha male, high value women or anything like that, it screams immaturity and lack of self-awareness. On LinkedIn, declaring yourself as entrepreneur, thought leader of nothing. If you have to say you're an alpha, you aren't. Plain and simple. Undermining a person every time they try to talk. My ex did this to me, and the amount of confidence I've lost is terrible. Still recovering after 3 years. Teasing someone when they gather guts to talk in a group, and then laughing is useless. Cannot explain how badly it hurts. Edit. Thank you all for the lovely comments. I appreciate each one of you. Don't let anyone else determine when you're allowed to speak, unless you're in the movie theater. Then shut your mouth. I joke. But for reals, your voice is just as valid as anyone else's. Have a good day, and believe in yourself, my friend. Putting an insanely loud exhaust on a deuce car, and then accelerating to rev maximum on a 200-meter stretch of road, before having to brake, because otherwise you crash into the car in front of you. While listening to some deuce hardcore or hardstyle music at a volume otherwise only experienced at festivals. Extra points if you do it on the road 50 yards from my house and it's a warm night and I want to sleep with the windows open. Double bonus if you do it while I'm trying to get a small child to fall asleep. You deserve a freshly sharpened pencil in the urethra if it's that one night of the week where I was going to have time to play on my Xbox as soon as the kids are asleep. Posing as being brutally honest. Constantly invalidating others is not cool and speaks of your inability to feel validated by anything other than people. I tell it like it is in butthole. Constantly telling people about the women thieves slept with or were otherwise involved with. I knew a guy like this in college. He was one of the most obnoxious dudes I've known. People who say anything they want, insults, racist slurs, pure meanness, and then when they get called on it, say it was just a joke. I had someone tell me that they'd sexually assault me. They played it off as a joke. Or they just say that's just who I am. People need to accept it, as if the fact that they are an insensitive jerk is someone else's fault. Revving your engines and blasting crappy music through a city neighborhood regardless of the time. I live in Jersey City and this happens quite often. You don't look cool. Also judging people for their music choices. Like when someone goes through your iPod/Spotify/whatever and is www you listen to this then proceeds to tell you about the super edgy music they listen to that no one really knows yet. I'm not ashamed about my Meatloaf/Bonnie Tyler playlist. I just don't tell people about it. I never show people the music or playlists I listen to because I always get bad reactions out of it. I don't even listen to anything weird, I just like a certain band, and for some reason, that makes me strange. Driving expensive cars and cutting people off. I was with a friend in the car when someone did this to us. Even revved the engine. My friend immediately screamed, "Yes, your dick is huge." Also the opposite. Driving a slow boring car and cutting people off. I see no problem driving an expensive car, but cutting people off is like, just why? Your loud ass pickup truck with no muffler, we get it. You vape, we get it. You dip, FDFY. Wearing name brand clothing, just because it has the brand written all over the clothing, for everyone else to see. The other day I learned that there are rules to this kind of dressing. For example, Adidas cannot be worn with Nike. Apparently hipperbeasting is an art and a science. My identity is so wrapped up in what I buy that I paid the company to advertise its products. Alternatively, judging someone for the clothes they wear just because you don't understand it. Calling themselves alpha or type A, it's almost like it's code for massive prick. Also calling people who agree with them lions and people who disagree ignorant sheep. I can't take anyone who unironically uses alpha seriously. It's one of those things that, if you have to say you are, you probably aren't even close. Having a phone conversation on speakerphone with the volume turned all the way up. Hate those people. Acting like they don't care about anything. Like sure it was cool in the early 2000s. But now when I see a dude acting like has too cool to like movies, or games, or hanging out, it's just so cringy. Like bro, you're not special for saying you don't like anything, and I don't mean introverts like myself who genuinely don't want to do stuff sometimes. I mean more the dude who will agree to hang out, and then the whole time is just complaints, and this is so lame. I don't know how this became a thing, but I feel like the weird one when I have actual interests and I like learning about them. But oh no, Mr. Johnny Cool over here immediately acts like I'm the weirdest person ever for enjoying something and taking it seriously. Like what do you do in your free time? Just stare at a wall and try not to be too excited about anything? Being proud of their own ignorance. It's okay to not be smart. It's not okay to be proud of it. Edit. So to clarify, it's okay to be wrong as long as you're willing to admit it. It's okay to not be naturally intelligent. It's okay to not know everything. What is not okay is being willfully ignorant and or stubbornly clinging to patently false information. When people film themselves giving money or food to the homeless, ultimate douchebag, or they just wanna brag about it and don't care. People who flaunt/brag about their expensive car, especially the ones whose parents bought it for them. Taking their dogs into large crowds for no good reason. And even though nobody asks, they loudly proclaim that this is their service dog, the jittery, nervous chihuahua that you're holding tight to your chest because it is squirming to get free. The dog with no vest and obviously little to no training. A service dog, sure. Or cafes, bars/restaurants. I love dogs, but get it off the table and out of here. Truck nuts.